When you look around, what do you see? Chairs, walls, screens, people. But what lies behind all of this? What holds matter together before it takes form? Maybe you'll say energy. But what comes before energy? This is the first Hermetic principle and also the most overlooked because it challenges everything you've been taught about reality. It says the universe didn't begin with an explosion. It began with a thought, an intention, a divine idea. And that thought vibrated. It rippled out in waves, frequencies, and the invisible began to take shape. You are inside that mind right now. Every atom vibrating, every sound echoing is part of a thought in motion. And here's what almost no one tells you. You are also an emanation of that mind. You think and you vibrate. You vibrate and you create. So why does your reality sometimes feel so confusing, so disconnected, so hard? Because you were taught to think like a victim, not a creator, to use your mind like a prisoner, not a transmitter, to repeat thoughts that aren't yours, instead of generating frequencies that match your essence. Your mind is not your enemy. It's the gateway. It's the key. But a key only works when you turn it in the right direction. Here's your practice. Watch your first thoughts of the day. They are seeds. Don't try to force them to change. Just observe and choose a new tone. Before you speak, feel the field you're transmitting. Before you say what you think, listen to what you're vibrating. Because everything begins in the unseen, and everything that is seen is just a response. Have you ever said something and felt the air shift? One word from you, and the room went still, or maybe it ignited. Have you noticed the power in what leaves your mouth? We're not talking about storybook magic. We're talking about something older than any book, sound vibrating with intention, just like it's written in the Gospel of John, in the beginning was the Word. But this isn't about religion. It's about creation. The Word isn't just speech, it's sound with direction. It's vibration with awareness. Every time you speak, something moves in others, in yourself, in the field. The words you repeat carve paths in your mind. Those paths become tracks, and those tracks become destinations. Most people walk through life chanting unconscious spells. I'm anxious. My life is hard. Nothing ever works out for me. And the universe simply responds because it doesn't hear your wishes. It hears your vibration. So pause. Listen to yourself. What are you creating with your voice? If words build, ask yourself, have you been an architect or a saboteur? Yes, you can change everything, but not through force, through direction. Symbolic practice for today. Choose one word that represents what you want to manifest, but not just any word. Choose one that gives you chills when you say it. It might be freedom, alignment, presence, overflow, truth. Throughout your day, repeat that word in silence, like an internal mantra, not to convince the universe, but to remind it who's speaking. Because when your word comes from the soul, it doesn't describe, it transforms. Words have lost their power because we've used them without presence. We say, I'm fine when we're not. We say, I love you without feeling the love. We say, thank you, like we say, goodbye. Language became habit, noise, surface, but the soul doesn't speak through convention. It speaks through vibration. There's a vast difference between saying something and transmitting something. Have you ever walked into a room where no one said a word, but the energy felt heavy, or hugged someone and felt more alone than if they hadn't been there? That's because real language doesn't live in words. It lives in the field that carries them. Common language focuses on sound. Vibrational language focuses on intention. And here's the secret. It's not what you say that creates. It's where you say it from. An empty word holds no power, but a word filled with soul moves worlds. You can say, I trust. But if your inner being is trembling in fear, the universe responds to the fear, not the phrase. Reality responds to vibration before it responds to language. And that changes everything, because it means that even in silence, you're always speaking. Today, speak less. But when you do speak, feel. Before every meaningful word like yes, no, I want, I feel, I am, breathe. Ground yourself, feel your body, then speak. Use fewer scripted phrases and more truth that vibrates. Because when a word is born from presence, it doesn't need to convince. It simply is. They say Hermes would speak, and invisible doors would open. Not doors made of stone, but portals of consciousness. When Hermes Trismegistus spoke, the world didn't just listen, it shifted. But what was in those words? They weren't long, they weren't decorated, they were simple, direct. But they came from a place few have ever accessed. Hermes didn't speak in haste. He didn't speak to be accepted. He spoke from truth, and truth has its own frequency. This isn't just poetry, it's a key. A vibrational mirror revealing what you vibrate within echoes without. Hermes knew the universe responds to vibrational order. That's why his words weren't just sounds. They were codes, and each code opened a dimension. Today we've forgotten that. We speak to fill silence, to appear, but not to access. True words are not informative. They are transformational. And when you find yours, a new reality begins to organize around it. Today, don't repeat, invoke. Choose a sentence that truly reflects who you are, but don't choose with the mind. Choose with the body, with the silence. Maybe it's, I am the bridge between worlds. My vibration reveals the path. I remember what I am. Repeat this phrase as if you're opening an inner portal, not for the world to see, but for your essence to step through. Because when a word is born from the soul, it doesn't explain, it activates. Your body hears everything you say, but more than that, it vibrates everything you repeat. Have you ever noticed how certain phrases carry weight? I'm exhausted. My life is a mess. Nothing ever works out for me. You're not just venting. You're programming your field. Every word carries a frequency, and every time you repeat that frequency, you anchor it deeper into your reality. Science has already shown that words can change the structure of water, and your body, it's made of over 70% water. Now imagine what happens to you when you flood your system daily with words of pain, rush, or denial. And this isn't about fake positivity. It's not about pretending everything's okay. It's about remembering you are constantly emitting vibrational commands, and those commands have consequences. Yes, words can harm, but words can also heal. Have you ever told someone everything's going to be okay and saw their eyes soften? Have you ever heard, I'm here with you, and felt your chest release? That's more than comfort. It's field reprogramming. Now, imagine if you spoke to yourself with that same care, with that same presence. Today, listen to how you speak to yourself. What words do you use when you make a mistake, when you're tired, when you look in a mirror? Now choose a new healing phrase, not to pretend, but to reteach yourself. Maybe it's, I welcome myself in this moment. I'm in reconstruction, and that is sacred. Even when I don't understand, I keep vibrating love. Repeat this phrase with your eyes closed, one hand over your heart. Feel a sound echo inward, because when a word touches the heart, healing begins. There is a kind of presence that doesn't need to say anything, a gaze that stills, a pause that speaks louder than 1,000 phrases, a silence that vibrates. Have you ever felt it? Silence is not absence, it is space. Space for the soul to speak without interruption. In an age of noise, silence has become a threat, as if stillness meant weakness. But the ancients knew it is in silence that spirit reveals itself. Hermes taught in silence. Buddha awakened in silence. Jesus, before he spoke, withdrew to the desert in silence. Because before words can carry power, there must be space to listen. Not everything must be said. Not everything must be understood. Some truths are only meant to be felt, and silence is the bridge between what you feel and what you don't yet have words to explain. How many times have you over-explained just to feel safe? How often have you tried to fix things with logic when all they really needed was presence? Noise doesn't heal, space does. Today, give yourself 5 minutes of pure silence. No music, no mantras, no asking for anything. Close your eyes. Let whatever arises, arise. Don't interfere, just observe. And at the end, place one hand over your heart and ask, in silence, what am I still not hearing? Allow the answer to come, not in words, but in sensation. Because when silence is honored, it becomes a divine language. By now, you've felt it. Your words are not just sounds, they're directions, vibrational commands, seeds cast into the invisible. But how do you align that force with awareness? How do you reprogram what you've been unconsciously repeating for years? First, you must recognize you were programmed by outside voices, by phrases echoed throughout childhood, by what others told you you were or weren't. You're so distracted. You're too much. You have to try twice as hard. These words didn't vanish. They echoed, and they became yours. You repeated them so many times internally that they stopped sounding like lies and became your truth. But now, you know, reality responds to your vibrational field, and your field is shaped by words, thought, spoken, or felt. So here's the key. If you change your verbal vibration, you shift your frequency of existence. And this doesn't happen through empty affirmations. It happens through coherence. Words only reprogram when they're aligned with what you feel, choose, and allow. This is verbal alignment, when what you speak, what you feel, and what you vibrate become one. Imagine saying, I'm abundant, but your body trembles with fear. That word isn't creating, it's clashing with your real vibration. Now imagine saying, I am in reconstruction, and feeling peace. That word becomes a code that settles into your field. This isn't about repeating pretty phrases. It's about finding words that vibrate with your truth right now. Write a phrase that reflects your current intention, but write it with truth, with humility, and with power. Something like, I'm ready to live with more truth. I release what I am not and return to what I am. My words now begin creating new realities. Read this phrase out loud every day, but first, breathe, feel, align. Because a word only becomes sacred when it's born from the center. If something inside you went quiet, if just for a moment you didn't think, you simply felt, then the reprogramming has already begun. And this isn't just poetic, it's real. Because when something vibrates from the center, it transforms everything. If this message touched your soul in any way, leave a like as if planting a seed, a simple gesture, but full of intention. It helps this frequency reach more people who, like you, are waking up from the inside out. And if you're not part of this space yet, you're welcome now. Click to subscribe and walk this path with us. Here, every video is more than information. It's a frequency, a key delivered to the right soul at the exact right time. And before you go, drop the number 888 in the comments. It's the symbol of abundance flowing in alignment of the infinite pulsing both within and around you. When I see that number below, I know you didn't just watch this. You came here to remember, because you're already vibrating differently. And when that happens, the world around you starts to respond.